Guys, what's going on? What's going on, people? What is going on? Hope everything's good. Hope everything is good. So, Last Bell Boxing's in the house. Hello, how's it going? Guys are in the house. How's it going, people? Guys, smash the like button. Everybody in the live stream, if you can smash the like button, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, let's get into it. Yesterday, we had some good fights. All good, Imran, my friend. It's all good, all good. I hope everything's well at your end. But yeah, great fights, great action, a lot of fights last night. We had Inoue, we had Charlo, we had Gabe Rasado, Munguia. We had some good fights last night, some good cracking action, exciting stuff as well. What do you guys make of the performances? What did you guys make of the action? How's it going, Ahmed? I hope you're well. Hope everything's good. No KP in the house. Yeah, no KP is in the house. Danny, my friend, how are you? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Hope everything is good in the hood, guys. Yeah, so yeah, yesterday, I couldn't. Firstly, the Gabe Rasado one was, I was shocked. That guy was beating the brakes of Rasado, literally battering him, and it looked like we were probably maybe a minute away from Gabe Rasado getting brutally knocked out. And then Gabe Rasado, just out of nowhere, caught him with a huge right hand, basically Marquez Pacquiao style right hand, and just had him out. It wasn't as brutal knockout as that. Obviously, Pacquiao was slept in that particular fight. Here, he was, he just lost his senses, but he got back up, but he just didn't know where he was, and he wasn't able to beat the count. But that was an incredible right hand from Rasado. Rasado now has had 13 losses, and he's got 26 wins, and his career has been bizarre. Like, some of his fights have been very close. He's been unlucky. Like, the Martin Murray fight was very close. But yeah, it's been a great. He's a warrior. He brings the heat every time he comes. He's definitely a warrior. I'll give him that. I just don't know what's next. They're talking about a Munguia fight for him next. I think that fight could be potentially very painful. Danny says Rasado got him clean. Now Rasado v Munguia. I don't know. I think they might do a rematch, with that guy. That guy, listen, they were saying that's Rasado's biggest win of his career. He was only 7-0. I know he had a good amateur background and stuff, but he was only 7-0. And everybody was making out like, oh, it was his best win of his career, but that guy was 7-0. So it wasn't like he was fighting a guy that was, a massive name or a stellar fighter or an elite fighter. He was a great amateur, but he was an amateur. He's only 7-0 in the pro rank. So, like I said, for me personally, I think Rasado against Munguia. I heavily favor Munguia. What's going on, Brendan? I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I heavily favor Munguia in that fight. I think Munguia has the kind of style where he can back Rasado up and it can make it a horrible fight for him. Munguia is a very good fighter. He fought as well. I believe that fight was a 6th round stoppage. So yeah, I don't fancy his chances. I don't really fancy his chances against Munguia. But nevertheless, I think Rasado can hold his head up high. It was a great performance. Well, I say great performance. It was a performance. It was quite painful, actually, for Rasado. He was taking a lot of punishment. But Rasado's a warrior. We already know he's got a very good chin, and he brings the heat every time he fights. But the fact is that he was taking a beating in that fight up until he landed that huge right hand. It looked like one-way traffic, and the guy's called a bully. And he was bullying Rasado. Let's be honest. He was bullying him. Rasado managed to land a punch from the gods, and get him out of there. But, I think they may even do a rematch. They potentially could do a rematch. and I'd love to see him fight a rematch. So, okay, let's see what people are saying. Clotty's best win. Who's Clotty's best win? Didn't learn anything from the Charlo fight. Yeah, we didn't. Oh, this is I want to talk about Charlo. You know what? The Charlo fight, I was quite disappointed. I've been bigging Charlo up now for a while. A lot of people said, "Oh, Imran, you're a hater." Guys, I've been bigging Charlo up. I'm the one that's been bigging Charlo up. A lot of people have been hating on Charlo. Right? I've been bigging Charlo up. I've been saying Charlo's a really good fighter. And then people come at me saying that you're hating on Charlo. I was the one that was bigging Charlo up. On Friday, I did a video saying that I like Charlo's energy. I like Charlo. And then he puts in that kind of performance. I criticize him a little bit, right? Oh, you're a Charlo hater. Listen, Charlo is a good fighter. But on that performance last night, right? Charlo got buzzed. Charlo got pushed back. Wa alaikum salam, Stephen. I hope you're well. I hope everything's good. Guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat. And anyone that wants to come on, as we did yesterday, you can come on. Right? And let's discuss this. Because like I said, Charlo, right, is a good fighter. But again, on that performance, I think Canelo and Golovkin would gobble him up. We have to be real about it. We have to be real about it. My man Steven is here. My man Steven is in the house. Steven, how are you?
What up, Imran? What's up? What up with it?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. It's nice having you in. Nice having you in here.
Glad to be here, sir.
Charlo last night against forgot who was he fighting again? Charlo was fighting Montiel. Yeah. What did you make of the performance?
Well, I mean, apparently you didn't make too much of it.
Okay. To be honest, do you want me to give my take?
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
What it is? You know what it is, Stephen? It's not the fact that I know what you were saying in the chat, styles make fights and that. It's not the fact that I didn't make much of it. You know what it is? And you know what the problem is with Charlo and all these other guys like Andrade as well? The problem is when they're fighting someone like Montiel, the level of expectation from the fans is very high. Right? We expect an performance. Kind of performance against Andrade, right? And beat Andrade that way, we won't say anything. We'll actually praise him. I'll tell you why. Because he's fighting another undefeated world champion. Now, this is why these guys need to start fighting each other. Because you're putting yourself at risk. Because someone like Montiel can come and fight the fight of his life, right? Wobble you, trouble you. And people are like, oh, well, Charlo's a hype job. Even though I rate Charlo, I think Charlo's a good fighter. If anything, when I spoke to you last, you weren't that keen on Charlo. You said, the jury's out for me. That's what you said, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I write Charlo. I actually made a video about Charlo saying that I like Jermall Charlo. I like his energy. I like everything about him. The problem is, right, this is the problem these guys are going to face. They're not facing each other. They're not facing champions. And then you get a guy like Montiel who comes and gives Charlo trouble a little bit. And people are like, oh, we're not too keen on Charlo. This is why if Charlo and Andrade, all these guys want to be praised and respected as champions, they need to start fighting each other. Because otherwise, you're going to get like Andrade fighting Williams and having trouble against Williams and Charlo fighting Montiel, right? And I know a lot of people said, well, Charlo won all the rounds against Montiel. Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't win the rounds, but here's the thing. Just because you win all the rounds doesn't mean the fight wasn't competitive. Doesn't mean that you weren't struggling in the fight. Doesn't mean that you didn't have moments of distress in the fight, right? For me, he wasn't controlling the fight. He wasn't dictating, especially in the later part of that fight. Montiel was getting to him, right?
Right.
That for me wasn't like when I saw him fight against Derevyanchenko, that was a great performance. He dominated Derevyanchenko. He controlled the fight. He controlled everything. That last night wasn't a great performance for me. But you give your take, Stephen.
So you feel like last night was a revelation of sorts. You feel like last night was kind of a exposition, exposing Jermall Charlo to a certain extent. And to a certain extent, it did. It
Mm,
revealed a lot about him. One
mm,
thing it also revealed to me was his fortitude, and it showed what he could do with somebody in there with a gritty,
mm.
tough gangster fighter like
Yeah, yeah,
Monty.
yeah, yeah,
Monty, okay, and a lot what we do in boxing a lot, man, is boxing is just like anything else. If I
yeah.
see if I see a certain sport and I see somebody showing superiority,
Mm,
I'm gonna expect that every single time. But the way the Clippers play, the way the Clippers match up against uh the Lakers, they might match up well with the Lakers, but they might not match up so well against Utah or
mm,
whatever. You
mm,
know, you can't there's not one specific style of fighter. You know that.
mm,
And
mm,
every fighter is different.
mm,
And how Jaime Maguire, how he handled Montiel,
mm,
he may have handled him in a spectacular fashion, whereas Charlo might struggle a little bit. The
mm,
important was Charlo got the win, and
mm,
it was a good performance by Charlo. It was a good
mm,
performance by Charlo. Listen, here's another thing. Vernon Forrest. Vernon
mm,
Forrest gave Shane Mosley the most trouble ever. In fact, he beat him twice. He beat
mm,
Shane Mosley twice.
mm,
When Shane Mosley fought the same thing when Vernon Forrest fought Mayorga, Mayorga beat Vernon Forrest twice, but he
mm,
lost to Shane Mosley twice.
mm.
Styles seem to differ from person to person, and
I
they
get
make
what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Stephen. But Montiel isn't considered a world-class fighter. Those guys that you're talking about are world-class fighters. See, like Styles make fights. Yeah, you're right. But is Montiel to you a world-class fighter? Would you put him in? Would you say he's would you say he's a gatekeeper? Would you say he's a world-class fighter?
I would say he's a gatekeeper. Being honest with you, I would say he's a gatekeeper.
So on that basis, so the comparisons you made there are against guys that are world class. So like you talking about Vernon Forrest, even Mayorga was a world class fighter in his day, right? And Shane
What?
Mosley was an elite fighter. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but what I'm saying is those guys were very very good. Like
Mm-hmm.
Montiel isn't like you said. You just said he's a gatekeeper. You'd expect someone like Charlo, who is world class, to dismantle him. But this is what I'm trying to say, Stephen. If these guys don't fight each other, right? If Charlo put in that kind of performance against Andrade, or he put that performance against Golovkin, right?
Right.
The fact that he got the win against those guys is everything because he just beat a world-class fighter. You see, a lot of boxing fans don't consider Montiel a world-class fighter. They consider him a gatekeeper. So when he's putting in a performance and he's looking a bit shaky, he's gonna come under criticism. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And the criticism is justified. The
Mm,
criticism is justified.
mm,
Um, all I'm saying is that he came out with the win, and I see
yeah,
what
yeah,
Brendan
yeah,
Jackson is saying. Brendan
yeah.
Jackson, I agree with you, man. Brendan Jackson, I agree with you. You said those are high level fighters, and
Mm,
yeah, you're right. But
mm,
the most important thing to take away from it was that he got the win. He got the
mm,
dub. He got the
mm.
dub, and he didn't look. I wouldn't say he looked horrible.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he didn't look horrible. He didn't look like he didn't struggle like Danny Garcia did with Lamont Peterson.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, Lamont Peterson was a world-class fighter, and I
Right,
thought
right,
Lamont Peterson won that fight. By
right.
the way,
I did, man. I did too. It's
yeah, yeah,
you know, you get what I'm saying,
yeah,
Imran.
yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, yeah.
I think you going a little too hard on Charlo, man. I think you've been
You
hard on.
reckon? Do you think I'm going too hard on him?
I think you
Maybe,
going.
maybe. You know what it is? You know what it is, Stephen? I reckon your expectation of Charlo, like, you were unsure about Charlo. Whereas for
Right.
me, I was sure about Charlo. I was like, no, this guy's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
So because I rate him so highly, or I rated him so highly, I still rate him highly. Not because of one performance, because you can have a bad performance. It's that I expect more from him against that level of competition. Do you see what I mean? Whereas you were probably not sure about him, so you're thinking, I actually think it's a decent performance. You see, I think I actually said Charlo had the style to give Canelo some trouble. Like, I didn't think he'd beat Canelo, but I thought he had the style to give him trouble. I think that kind of physical, strong style. But on that performance, if Charlo fights like that against Canelo, let's be honest, Stephen, Canelo will gobble him up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from what it looks like right now, I mean, you know what I'm gonna do, man? I'm gonna reserve my criticism for his next fight. I'll say last night he struggled a little bit, but I ain't gonna lie to you, man. He kind of looked good to me, man. I like how he was able to weather the storm because you seen in during the later rounds, you seen him. He was kind of struggling stamina wise. And he was grit and gut, and he didn't lose a beat. You know what I'm saying? He didn't lose a beat in terms of getting outclassed. And that fight, I gave him every single round. That was a good showing.
Yeah. He won. He won. Yeah. He won most of the rounds. Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't gonna go too hard on him, man. I'm not gonna go too hard on him. I mean, he's the champ at middleweight for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that we owe him more. We owe him more consideration. I'll say.
Algeria, how are you?
Yo, what's going on, bro? What are you people up to, bro?
All good, man. All good. Just want to hear your thoughts about Charlo, man, and Canelo, and all Inoue and Gabe Rasado and all of that. We just want to hear your thoughts, man.
Yeah, respect to Gabe Rasado for beating that bully up, bro. In terms of what your man Canelo against Charlo. Charlo's too small. He's going to get mashed up in that fight. He's going to get the shit kicked out of him in that fight. And inshallah, he's going to get destroyed, bro. So there you go.
What about Inoue?
The monster, the monster's always there. It's a bit like, Monster Munch when you're a kid, when you got those packets of crisps, bro. He's just gonna turn up everywhere, man. Every corner shot, everywhere you go, that guy's just gonna beat down on people. The monster Inoue is a beast, bro.
Yeah, he is, man. He's a beast. I agree with you, man. That guy he's the ultimate fighting machine. One of my favorite fighters today, without question.
That's it.
Ray, what did you make of yesterday's action? The fights we had Jermall, we had Inoue, we had Rasado, Munguia as well. What did you make of all the action last night?
I thought Inoue was just class.
Yeah.
Again, showed why he's got to be top 5 pound for pound. Munguia, good performance. I mean, you got to put it in perspective. He was against a guy with 2 weeks who come in at 2 weeks' notice. Albeit he only lost against Golovkin, but he did look pretty limited in there. Gabe Rasado, he was getting beaten there for me, and he pulled out the best knockout of his life. He's not going to throw a better punch than that, and that's probably going to be knockout of the year. It's probably short. I've always said that Becketeer is probably a bit too small for super middleweight.
Yeah.
So he may need to go back to the drawing board on that one. He showed that his defense is leaking for me. But it was all of a sudden it was in Charlo as well. Charlo, you know me, I'm not really a massive Jermall Charlo fan. I like to see him probably against Munguia or Golovkin next. If Golovkin's not going to fight Murata, then I want to see him in with Charlo, and then we'll see just how good Charlo is. Charlo just to me looked as though, as soon as he gets sent to the ring, he gets his power punches off. Then he's got, I don't really see much skill left in Charlo. He was swinging at times. He got caught. He got caught a few times as well. But he got the job done against Montiel. I know you come up from welterweight, but for his career, but he got the job done. I just want to see him in perhaps against somebody who's going to make him think in there. And we could see what he's about. But it was a great night of action.
Yeah, it was. Ray, I just want to get your opinion. Like, me and Stephen were talking about Charlo. I personally, I was high on Charlo. I even made a video on Friday about him, saying I like his energy. I like what he stands for. I think he's a warrior as well. He said he's willing to go to Mexico to fight Canelo, willing to go to Golovkin's backyard, and I think he was sincere when he was saying that. But I looked at the like yesterday's performance. He obviously, and I actually said something in the video that he's very dedicated. He always stays on weight, and then the crazy thing is, hours later he didn't make weight, and then he had to make weight the second time. But I wasn't impressed by yesterday's performance whatsoever. I know Steven said, well, he got the job done and he looked good. Like, obviously, because my expectation of Charlo was a lot higher than that, and especially coming off the Derevyanchenko performance where he absolutely battered Derevyanchenko. And he looked great doing it as well. And then that performance last night, he just looked shaky. He looked flaky. I just expected a more dominant, like I just expected him to batter Montiel and stop him. On that performance, right, against like Golovkin, I know he's 39, and Andrade, leave Canelo out of it. Let's leave Canelo out of it at the time being. But just against those guys, how do you think and against Murata, how do you think he gets on with all of those three?
I think he probably beats Murata. Beats Murata, stands and trades with Murata. I think he probably beats Murata. He doesn't beat Golovkin or Andrade for me. I think Andrade's too cute for him. He showed that he could easily be outboxed.
Yeah,
like he's wide open when he's throwing his hooks.
Yeah,
and I think Golovkin. Yeah, we keep talking about Golovkin being 39, but he's an active 39-year-old. He's not like he's disappearing for 2.5 years, coming back into the gym. No, he's very dedicated, and he's also what people forget about Golovkin is because he's such a powerful puncher. They just see him as that. They don't really understand his ring IQ. They don't really understand how effectively he cuts off that ring. I think all those aspects of his boxing brain is going to be too much for Charlo. Andrade, if he can still do middleweight, is a big problem for Charlo. Big problem. The angles, the coming off the southpaw stance, the jab for him, his speed. He's just going to want to make that dogfight. That's the only way Charlo can win that fight. I just think both those guys, Andrade and Golovkin, are elite. Well, the Andrade is a very good middleweight. Elite, probably not, but very good. But he's better than Charlo. I'm just not sold on Charlo.
Yeah, I've sort of. Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, and I just think I don't know, man. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's like 34 years old, so like Andrade's like an old guy. Like I'm 52, so it don't matter. But like Andrade's like 33 years old. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm thinking, particularly with the Charlo fight, it's going to be down to resume. And in terms of resume, they both, like what Imran was saying before, they both got a very similar resume. They're both stacked to the same level. So like Andrade and Charlo, they've got 3 years between them in terms of age, but they're quite similar in terms of their actual who they've fought in terms of like competition. So I think Boo Boo's got a better chance in terms of style, but I think Charlo can knock him out. I watched Andrade's last fight, man, and that was dire. It's really bad.
Against
Williams.
Liam Williams,
yeah, man. Yeah, sorry, I'll let you talk, man. I put myself.
See, Lee, he still won that convincingly. Liam Williams I was disappointed in Liam Williams. I thought he would give a better account than that. But Charlo isn't a Liam Williams. I get that, but I think sometimes if you have an opponent who makes a fighter afraid, scared that they might lose, it might switch them on. And I think Andrade probably thought Liam Williams, well, who on earth's that? I think he just probably looked past him. I don't think he'll do that with Charlo. I think he'll be switched on for the 12 rounds. I think you'll probably see him. I think you can see Andrade dancing to a unanimous decision.
I would agree. I think Andrade is the better boxer. However, I think Charlo would knock Andrade out. I'll tell you why. I'm not convinced by Andrade. I think he's got a suspect chin. I just think that someone like Charlo, who's very strong, who can be outboxed, very strong. I think he's going to land on Andrade. I think if Williams could land on Andrade, and Williams don't have the same kind of power that Charlo has. Charlo, although you're right, he's quite wild. He was quite wild last night.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I think those wild shots will land. And I'm not sure Andrade can handle that kind of strength, pressure, or power. And most importantly, I don't really think Andrade can hurt Charlo. I think Charlo, although Charlo got hurt last night, I actually think Charlo's very tough. And he's he's a very brave fighter, and I just think when I look at it stylistically, and I look at the trouble that Williams gave Andrade, and I do agree with you. I do think against Charlo it'd be a super fight, so Andrade will be up for that fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Sometimes you just gotta favor skill against power and substance. Sometimes. And like like the lad was saying before, sometimes when they evenly match, you've got to lean towards sometimes who's the more skilled fighter, who's better at using the feet to read to read the distance, who's better with the timing, who's better at imposing their will on your opponent, who's a better ring general, and who's going to be the effective aggressor in the fight. And sometimes that's what you got to look for in a fight. Albeit on Jordo, again, it may come down to the weight, with his performance against Liam Williams, because the first 3 rounds, he just looked as though he was running rings around him. But then Williams started to catch up with him a little bit. But then Williams was just following him around the ring. Obviously, he's not going to get that with Charlo. But Charlo's there to be outboxed. Like he's easily there to be outboxed. He's wide open at times. He's very wild. He's too wide. He throws his hooks from too far out. But it'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight. And but I don't think he beats Golovkin for me. I still think Golovkin's top level. Yeah. Don't let his age fool you. We've seen it with Nonito Donet. Yeah.
Ray, I agree with you. I agree. I believe Golovkin beats all of them still. I believe Charlo beats Andrade. Stephen, what do you think? I personally think, because I know you're high on Andrade, I personally think that Andrade would outbox Charlo, but I just feel like a massive uppercut landing somewhere and Andrade just getting put out cold. What do you think?
Nah, man. Check it out, man. I really think, man, the middleweight division it's we talked a lot about the welterweight division yesterday, but the middleweight division is equally as exciting and fun to watch right now. And I think I don't know who's the top dog. I don't know who's the top dog. Is it Andrade? Is it Charlo? Is it whoever? I think in a fight between Jermall Charlo and Demetrius and Andrade, I think that I really can't pick that fight, because you got the slickness, you got the real cold footwork in Andrade, and you got the technical strong strength coming from Jermall. So I'm not sure who's the victor, and I know that I'm not sure who will be the victor in that fight. I'm really not. So that's kind of what I think about that, man.
What about Golovkin?
Golovkin right now, shit, man. Golovkin again. You can't really count out Golovkin. He's always a beast, man. He's always been a beast. If I had to rate him, if you really had to put a true serum in me, I'd probably say right now Golovkin is the more experienced and he's the more accomplished and he's the strongest out of the 3 of them. So I probably have to roll with Golovkin. One thing I want to say too, man, is that we can't really, again, I'm going back to what I was saying earlier, just because Jermall Charlo was forced to fight a different style of fight. We can't say that he wouldn't fare well against X, Y, and Z. I mean, again, he showed that grit and he showed that gut. He pulled out the dub last night. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think it was I think it was. Listen, I think it was a tough fight for him. I wasn't expecting it to be that tough. A lot of people are saying in the comments, Charlo got exposed and Charlo this, that, and the other. But Ray, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I get where some people are coming from. I mean, for me, it still emphasised some weaknesses, some flaws in his game. I would say that, but in terms of the fight itself, he was still very comfortable in there. It's not as if that it was a close fight, was it? From the fight I was watching, I pretty much gave Charlo Naoya near enough every round. Some rounds were a couple of close, but aside from that, it was still a dominant performance. It just he didn't look as though he matched the hype he's been given by certain aspects of fans, or particularly stateside. People saying, "Oh, he's untouchable." I think where I'm getting at is people are saying Golovkin and Canelo avoided him, and if that's the case, I didn't see an avoided fighter in the ring there.
Yeah, I get.
See what I mean? He didn't look like somebody like, oh, we need to avoid this guy. We need to avoid this guy. There was times when in round 5, for example, he unleashed a barrage of punches, but if he was that big of a punchline man, he would have got him out of there.
Yeah.
Round 6 as well, he would have got him out of there. And I'm thinking, in his wild as well. I've said that loads of times, but he just didn't look the hype job basically that we're hearing about. He just didn't look that special in there. Although he was, he was too strong for his opponent. Ultimately, he just didn't look. I couldn't put him in that category that everyone else seems to be talking about him.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I respect that too, man. Sorry about that.
Go on, Stephen.
I respect that, and when one thing is that when you see a weakness, an obvious weakness in a fighter, you got to let it, let the facts stand as they are, and if you feel like Jermall Charlo showed a lot of weaknesses last night, then so be it. I just feel like I know he's an elite fighter. I wasn't even that big on him, but I've had a chance to look at some of his training regimen, his discipline, how he kind of lives his life outside of boxing and everything. I like his heart. I like his attention to detail, and I just think that I owe him a little bit too much. Just to count him out. I'm not gonna count him out based on that last night. Montiel was a tough fighter, man. He just wasn't a flop. He wasn't a pushover. Now, you can say what you want, but when what I call getting exposed to somebody like Billy Joe Saunders. I know Billy Joe Saunders could have showed up to the party a little bit better than he did with Canelo. I like Billy Joe, and I know what he can do. But he wasn't doing anything in that fight. That's when you criticize. That's why I feel like you can criticize a fighter. If you want to criticize somebody that you know is great and it just ain't doing nothing. But not the fighters. Go ahead.
I think we've got probably different levels of what the term expose means. So for me, expose is probably somebody like a classic example would be Amir Khan, in the sense that you get to a certain level and then you just get found out spectacularly, or a flaw of yours gets put out there. The Billy Joe fight, although Canelo was the boss in that fight, Billy Joe still made him work. He made him work harder than I've seen Canelo work hard before. Sometimes he made Canelo miss in there a few times. Don't get me wrong, Canelo still won that fight, but I wouldn't say Billy Joe got exposed in that fight. Exposure for me is somebody like, Bekti and Mulikav, who just got sparked out by Rasado. That's being exposed. Something like that, something where you flow, or perhaps you look at somebody like Devin Haney, where he gets to a point where, okay, his lack of power is being exposed. Do you see what I mean? So it's when your flaws come out there, where for me, Billy Joe, he still had a bit of success in that fight, where the way you see it, Stephen, is though he wasn't doing anything at all, and I see it differently. And again, it's the same with Charlo. I accept that, and on my card, I reflect the fact that he's practically winning every. I had it 120, 108 or something like that. So I accept the fact that he won. You know the whole fight. He looked comfortable in there, but he didn't look like somebody who would have the beating of somebody like Canelo or Golovkin, or somebody who's got something that Canelo and Golovkin want to run away from him. His power didn't look all that. His defense didn't look all that. His skill set didn't look all that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean, right?
So in terms of elite level, I've got to call. Let's just say Canelo can still do middleweight. I've got to call those two as the elite level at middleweight, and then Charlo, Munguia are going to be underneath that. They're going to be on that tier underneath that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I respect that, man. I respect that, right? You made some very good points. And I want to take back what I said about Billy Joe Saunders. I guess it wasn't so much that he was exposed. I was just kind of disappointed in him.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
So it's more disappointment, more than him being exposed.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I just feel like a lot of times styles don't always align for these fighters, these top fighters that are fighting each other. And I feel like I just can't because while Montiel, he's not he wasn't a Boo Andrade or somebody what you would call a top tier fighter. He was still very game. He comes from a family of fighting. They have
He's got a big good boxing family.
Yeah, they have a bloodline of fighting. So it wasn't like he was just, they sent a journeyman in there to handle business. He was in there with a certified fighter. Maybe not killer status, but a certified fighter that would give anybody, a guy like Montiel, he's likely to give anybody a hard time, including Canelo, because he's so rough and rugged. So I don't know. I'm just gonna stay steadfast in my belief that I just think we probably need to reserve the overall critiquing for maybe his next fight. Because he got all the intangibles. He got the heart. He got the hell. He even got the training. Ronnie Shields, world class trainer.
Oh yeah.
Imran, what you think, man?
Firstly, I want to address your point about the Billy Joe Saunders, when you said that you obviously you said you took it back, but I want to say, did you ever think Billy Joe had a chance of winning that fight? Because I didn't give Billy Joe any kind of chance. I actually thought that's what would happen. I didn't really think he had a chance of winning that fight. So I wasn't quite surprised at what happened in that fight. But go on, Stephen.
Hell yeah! I thought Billy Joe had a good shot at beating Canelo. Shit, Billy Joe Saunders that motherfucking fight. Billy Joe Saunders ain't no sucker, man. He ain't no sucker.
Really think he could beat Canelo though?
I thought he could. If there was an upset to be had, Billy Joe Saunders could have definitely did it. I've seen Billy Joe Saunders look really, really good. But then, then again, it's Billy Joe Saunders. He has a tendency. One fight, he was like a world-class world breaker, and then the next fight, you like what the hell is he doing? Like
he's inconsistent.
What's Billy Joe doing? So, but nah, man, Billy Joe ain't no sucker, man. He ain't no sucker. That dude can fight, man. If anybody could have pulled off the upset, it was gonna be Billy Joe. And it's I think. Man, I think not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I think a lot of times, when you're fighting somebody like Canelo, a lot of times you had a tendency to get beat even before you step in the ring. You say, well, this is Canelo I'm fighting, man. This is Canelo. This is for all the marbles. If I beat this person, but everybody's saying that Canelo's the baddest motherfucker, he the baddest dude walking. You kind of psych yourself out. That's why I was saying about Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo has those intangibles that you can't rattle him mentally. You may be able to rattle Demetrius Andrade mentally, but you're not going to rattle Jermall Charlo mentally. I think that in order for somebody to overthrow the king, they had to have that intangible, that champion's heart, you know. And I think Jermall Charlo has that. I don't know if Billy Joe Saunders had that. Billy Joe Saunders never had. He's never convinced me that he has that solid goal. I'm gonna go get you. That type of attitude.
Because he can't fight, Stephen. He can't fight like that. Charlo's a lot stronger than Billy Joe. He's a lot stronger, physically stronger. Billy Joe's more of a slick boxer. The thing is with Billy Joe, he hadn't really fought at any kind of level. Like, you know, I remember telling Ray before that I didn't really think he had fought at any kind of level to give Canelo a challenge. And when he stepped to that kind of level, he did well for a couple of rounds and stuff. He had a few good rounds in there, but Canelo was dictating that fight. Yeah, I thought he was quite comfortable, and it always looked like he was gonna. He was always looked. Yeah, it looked like he was kind of the heat and get him out of there. What do you make of that, Ray?
Make of what? Sorry.
About you know Billy Joe and his performance against Canelo and the fact that Canelo could have turned up the heat and got him out of there.
Yeah, Canelo still had 3 or 4 more gears to go through. I thought, you know, Billy Joe did do well at parts, but it kind of went the way I thought it would. And you know, to go on your point now and run, you know, we did say it, you know, on your show when you came on my show that Billy Joe hadn't fought anyone of any note on that particular stage. For a 2-time world champion, it was quite alarming. He's got all the skills to do it, but I think where Stephen's coming from is, and I've said it before, is sometimes you do have to question Billy Joe's desire against mandatories or opponents that he should walk through. It just doesn't turn up. It just seems to go through the motions. But when you tell him he's the underdog, like against, we all talk about the Lemieux fight, although it's some years ago, he was outstanding. He was outstanding, and people were thinking he may put a similar type of performance in against Canelo, but what they didn't realize was just how good Canelo, you know, was, and Canelo's leagues above anything that David Lemieux was. And like I'd said, Canelo does everything that Billy Joe does twice as good. It's a game of inches with Canelo. Like just when you think you're in a good position to time him and land a good shot on the inside or on the outside, Canelo's been and gone. He's just shifted his feet just his lead foot a couple of inches to the left, or on the outside of yours a couple of inches to the right. You know, he's took that little step back. He's took a little step forward. He's moved his head a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, just to position his body to land that shot, and then he's out of range again. He's just the way you know, Chocolatito's the same. Very similar fighters in the way they make inside boxing just look so easy. You know, they're comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's something Billy Joe's not. You know, we put Billy Joe in an uncomfortable position and he becomes uncomfortable. Canelo and the likes of Chocolatito, these top elite fighters, seem to thrive on it. And, you know, whether Stephen thinks that Charlo's got that in his makeup, you know, we'll soon see. But in terms of what's next for him, I would like to see him up against someone like Munguia. I think, look, you know, at the end of the day, you've both got them up there at 60. They're both wanting to test themselves, putting them in against each other. You know, forget about Munguia against Rasado. That'll probably do well in terms of numbers, fair enough, because of the Central American, Latin American sort of fan base. But I want to see Charlo win against someone like Munguia.
Leading on to that, Ray, just to go off, I'm asking you this question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marky Dan, for the super chat. Basically, he's saying, "Hi, Jamie Munguia KO'd Montiel, and Munguia is Charlo's mandatory. Who do you think wins that fight?" Go on, Ray, as you were on it.
That's a top fight. That I'll probably have to lean towards Munguia. I'll probably have to lean against Munguia. I think Munguia will probably. I think it'll be a real phone booth fight. I think they won't take a step backwards. It'll be a great fight. Be a battle of wills, and I just think Munguia will just come out on top.
What about you, Stephen? Munguia or Charlo?
That's a tough one. That's a real tough one, man. I've always been high on Jaime Munguia. I think I think Munguia is I think he's a top contender looking to make his way to the top. Out of them two banging it out, I might be inclined to take Jermall Charlo, simply because he's the champ. He has a lot to lose. I don't think he'll be willing to give that up with a loss to Jaime Munguia. It'll be his toughest test outside of Deverenchenko to date, and I think he shows up for that fight. I think we see a Jermall Charlo that's fully turned on. So it's kind of hard to get up for fights that you're supposed to win, and no name guys. Montiel, he's a tough guy, but who's to say that Jermall Charlo didn't really get up for him, So I think he gets up for a fight like Munguia, and I think I got him edging it out.
I'd have to agree. I personally agree with Stephen. I think Charlo. I'd favor Charlo in that fight. I think Munguia has a similar kind of approach, to be honest, to Charlo, where he comes forward. I think Canelo would beat him up as well. I think Munguia is quite one-dimensional as well. Charlo against Deverenchenko was really impressive in that fight. If he can have that kind of performance against Munguia, I don't see Munguia winning that fight. But again, if he has a performance like he did last night, then I can see Munguia pulling it off. I wasn't impressed by last night's performance, and Munguia does bring it. He brings the heat. So as of right now, I would say that's a 55-45 in Charlo's favor. But on that performance last night, Munguia could easily win that fight. But if we get the Munguia we got the Charlo that we did against Deverenchenko, then I think I would favor Charlo in that fight. Charlo was really impressive in that fight against Deverenchenko. By the way, we're talking about Charlo. Jermall, his younger brother, is the better out of the two. Let's be honest. Jermall is the better of the Charlos, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Ray.
Yeah, he's got a tough fight against the Argentine. Yeah. In that fight, although he's got a loss on his record, hasn't he?
Yeah, against Harrison, and then
he avenged it, didn't he? So he comes in with a different skill set, and look, he is. I would agree with that. He is, and but that division isn't. I don't think it's as strong as what it once was. What Stephen called, I call it like middleweight, but I don't think it's as strong as what it once was. But he's a good fighter. And like I said, he's all brother. Well, he's twin Jermall. Yeah. He's not a bad fighter. I'm not saying he's hopeless. I just don't think he justifies the hype that he's getting.
Ray, I'm going to put you on the spot. This is going to be a very tough question, right?
Go on, and I like tough questions. You know that.
If Terence Crawford moved up to 154 and fought Jermall Charlo, who would you favor in that fight?
Charlo.
Really?
Charlo, yeah. Terence Crawford still, for me, hasn't fought. He hasn't really had that massive challenge at welterweight yet. And sometimes, even though he likes to fight, he still can be a little bit vulnerable. So you're telling me he's going to step up, fight against a bigger guy, and come off the better man? Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah. You'll have success, but eventually, with fighters, there comes to a point where you're stepping up and the weight becomes just too much. The advantages go, and the skills can just take you so far. And I can't see him avoiding taking any damage or getting hit in that fight for the full 12 rounds.
Stephen?
Jermall Charlo is a straight gangster, man. Jermall Charlo is he might be the realest dude the realest dude we talked about on here outside of outside of Canelo or Spence. Jermall Charlo is an absolute animal. Jermall Charlo is an absolute animal. The way he went in there and dismantled Tony Harrison, which is a damn good boxer. Tony Harrison is a world-class boxer.
Yeah, very good fight. Yeah.
For him to come in and redeem himself and knock him out, put him on his pockets like he did, is stupendous. Then he goes and fight Jason Rosario, knocks him out in the body in a solo play with the solo plex Superman punch. Impressive. Now you talk about an animal with an animal's mentality, and his approach is he really does have the lion's only approach. He really lives up to that. Jermall Charlo is unified at 154, and it's for good reason. If Terrence Crawford was to ever go up to 154, he have absolutely zero chance at beating somebody like Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo is an animal.
Yeah,
he's a straight animal. He's a straight up killer.
Yeah, I agree. I like Jermall.
He'd be just too big for him. He would just be too big for him, and I think he'll nullify everything that Crawford will bring. You know, I couldn't see it going much different from. I mean, if you look at some of the opponents that Jermall Charlo's fought and look good against. I mean, you got people like Austin Trout on there, Erickson Lubin. You know, is Crawford going to be any better in that weight category above and putting a better performance in the likes of those guys where he won't quite comfortably on? You know, and Lubin he got out there, and it was at the first round.
Yeah, Erickson.
Yeah,
Lubin.
so yeah.
Something's happened to Ray's connection, but there's a question here. I don't know what's happened to Ray's connection. There's a question here. Greg Tucker, Stephen, says, I believe BJS would beat Charlo at 168, but he won't be fighting anytime soon. That's what Greg Tucker has to say. I disagree with that. I believe Charlo beats Billy Joe, especially after what Canelo did to Billy Joe in terms of his eye socket. What do you think, Stephen?
I think Billy Joe gives Jermall a tough fight, but I ain't gonna say Billy Joe's gonna beat Jermall Charlo. I mean, we just talked about his Billy Joe Saunders all of his shortcomings. They're too tough to overcome with a fighter like Jermall Charlo. So I can't crown him that, but I do like Billy Joe, but I don't think he beats him.
Well, do you think? Let me ask you a question about Billy Joe. Do you think Billy Joe is going to be able to reach the heights after? Remember, he's had an orbital bone fracture. We know that guys that have suffered those kind of injuries don't come back at world. They've struggled. I won't say don't come back. They struggle to come back and be world champions or be contenders. Do you think Billy Joe, after suffering basically his face being cracked, do you think he can come back and be any kind of contender?
No, stick a fork in him. He's done.
Yeah.
That orbital bone injury, that's something that it's not like a hand injury or something like that. That's something you're always kind of cognizant of. You're always kind of thinking about in the back of your head. That's why Kell Brook is damaged right now. It's because those severe beatings, but more importantly, those injuries. It's a done deal for Billy Joe. Billy Joe needs to go into. He's another one that needs to figure out where he's going to go, the trajectory of his career. Does he start training with his father now? Does he start promoting? But he needs to find other avenues right now because he's that eye socket injury is nothing to take lightly. He's done.
Yeah.
And besides, and just not to reiterate the point over again, but we already spoke about his mindset. He was very consistent, man. He was never going to be what we wanted him to be. We see a lot of times we fall in love with the style, or we fall in love with the slickness of a fighter and stuff. And that's what I was saying about Jermall Charlo. You know what I'm saying? We fell in love with his sensational knockouts, his power and everything. But what we don't see is the intricate details in fighting these fights. This, fighting and conducting himself in the ring. When it's him mano against somebody, him pulling out the grit and the guts. There's somebody he doesn't match very well with stylistically. That's what we don't see. That's what we don't take into consideration. By the way, happy Father's Day to everybody, man. If you got kids, happy Father's Day to you.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to everybody. Yeah. Let's talk about Stephen. I want to ask you, talking about killers, right? And Ray as well. Talking about killers, Inoue. That's a killer right there, Stephen. That is a killer right there.
Man, Inoue.
That's the samurai killer right there. Come on.
That's a
Inoue is damn near. I would venture to say Inoue is damn near evil.
Yeah.
He's damn evil. He's so savage. He's so savage. You see what he did last night?
Yeah, I did.
Mate, I've been seeing what he's been doing for the past 5 years. The guy's whoa, I don't know what to say, man.
That motherfucker is no joke at all. He's nobody's joke.
He's not, man. The thing with Inoue and the thing with pound for pound is because it's not like any other sport where you see basketball, NFL, football in the UK where they perform every week. Boxing, they kind of perform every 6 months, sometimes fight once a year. So that's why everyone's pound for pound seems to change whenever you see a fighter. So, you know, maybe about 6 months ago, unless you're a hardcore fan, people won't put him anywhere in the top 5. They'll put him in the top 10, but after last night, he's in everyone's top 3. I'm seeing comments saying he should be top 2, you know, but I've been always consistent with him. But the thing with Inoue for me is this guy's been destroying. Don't forget he's at the lower weights. He's come up from light fly to bantamweight. He's been destroying guys who have been world champions. I mean, Rodriguez, you know, Jamie McDonnell. This guy's been not just beating them comfortably. He's been destroying them, absolutely destroying them.
Yeah,
you know, these are solid world champions who could have done anything to anybody else, and he just put them away with ease. You know, I mean, the way he hits people, he's barely putting anything into it. It's all technique. You know, those body shots, the glancing body shot that he first caught Michael Marnus with, he just caught him glancingly. He didn't put much into it. That's what it is. It's just all technique. He's not just a power puncher as well. He can box. He's got fast feet, fast hands. He moves into position nice. His balance is great, so he can always hit. Yeah, he's quality. He's all around quality. Power in either hand, and he takes a good shot as well. I mean, we're talking about Billy Joe Soto's earlier before I got cut off. He fought on with he fractured his orbital bone in 2 places, and he still fought on to come, you know, against Donaire. I mean, the guy just loses class for me.
Yeah, Inoue is one of my favorite fighters. The guy's so explosive. He's so powerful. I said it in my post-fight video that I think he's just a fan's favorite fighter. When you look at him, he's just a complete package. He's so excited. He's going to be a superstar, like literally going to be a superstar. He's already a superstar in Japan, but I think he's going to become a household name, like a Pacquiao. I think he can become that big because he's just so explosive. He's so exciting. He's got like everybody loves Inoue. I haven't met any boxing fan that doesn't like Inoue. Like literally everyone's just in awe of Inoue. So I honestly think Inoue I think he's going to be he's definitely a future Hall of Famer. He may be that already in some people's eyes, you know. But that guy is a phenomenal talent, and I don't know. I think that division is unbelievable. By the way, you got Rigondeaux, you got Donaire, you got even Obali, Casemiro and Donaire are going to fight each other, which I don't know who's going to win that fight. That's a 50-50. That's a dynamite fight, by the way. Yeah. Guys, give me your opinions about that fight.
I would agree with you. I think it's 50-50. Again, it depends on how Donaire approaches it. Does he want to box? Because he can do that. But does he want a firefight? Because he can do that as well. Casemiro, forget the 4 losses or so he's got on his record, man, because this guy comes to fight. He's really powerful as well. I mean, he destroyed Tete, who was looking really strong at that weight. He kind of took him apart.
I'm probably just leaning towards Donaire because he's got a bit more about him. He's got a bit more to his arsenal. But I wouldn't rule Casemiro out in this fight at all because Casemiro's very, very effective at cutting the ring down, and he may not give Donaire space to work. And if that's the case, then it's going to be a real tight affair for Donaire. He's going to have to be up on his jab, but Donaire can do that. If Donaire can put up the performance he did against Inoue and also in his last fight, for me, he's got to come on and be the favourite in that fight. Only just.
Ray, why you talking about Donaire and thing? Carl in the side is trolling. He's basically called me a Billy Joe hater. He said that Ray agrees with you with him that Froch beats Joe Calzaghe. You don't agree with him about Froch.
For a fine fact, Carl knows that as well. Carl, and I love Carl. He's my colleague there. Yeah. Joe Calzaghe wouldn't have lost to Carl Froch. He knows that. Yeah. That's what I've got to say on that one.
If you're free, come on to camera. Come on to camera.
Come on, Carl. There's no way I would have. I mean, I love Carl Froch, but Joe Calzaghe would have beaten him all day long.
He ain't beating Joe Calzaghe, Carl. I know. I even saw your top 5 British super middleweights.
Yeah.
There's no way Carl Froch is ahead of Joe Calzaghe. Joe Calzaghe, for me, after Lennox Lewis, is the second best British fighter of all time. I believe he was quality, class. So
in the modern era, definitely, yeah.
For me, Carl Froch doesn't come in the top 5. So
you actually say Joe Calzaghe is the second best British fighter of all time?
Yeah. Who would you say is better than him?
Like you said,
Bob Fitzsimmons.
No, but we're going back like 100 years and that. I'm talking
you said all the time. You said all the time, bro.
I mean, like, I'm modern era.
You're about the modern era,
last 30, 40 years.
So. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think Joe Calzaghe is unfortunately one of those fighters that gets his plaudits and his credits once he's finished. In terms of America, the equivalent's going to be someone like Andre Ward. When he was fighting, he wasn't getting as much sort of credit and respect, but it's going to be now that he's retired.
Carl
he was a good fighter, man. I ain't gonna front on that. He was
Calzaghe was he's a serious cat.
Carl said that I'm a Billy Joe hater. This is a funny thing, but yeah, he said Calzaghe was a slap artist. Didn't he say so? He said he's a slapper with his punches, and he said Carl Froch. He just said Froch would beat Calzaghe 6 days a week and twice on a Sunday. I just don't see how Froch, like, talking about that, I just don't see how Froch beats Calzaghe. I
don't. You got to remember though, Carl Froch. Look what if it wasn't for the last 14 seconds against Jermaine Taylor, perhaps we wouldn't be talking about Carl Froch the way we do. You could say that were a couple of the Carl Froch fights.
Pascal.
Some fights. Yeah, Pascal.
Durrell.
The Andre Durrell fight as well. But the other fights, I mean, Arthur Abraham, although that was a class performance, Arthur Abraham never really got out of his shell. You could do that against Arthur Abraham. Lucien Bouty absolutely smashed, but how much of Lucien Bouty was there that night. The wins against Groves were quality. The Kessler performance second time around was again quality, but he just didn't do it for the first time. And I know he's blaming the volcanic. Yeah, but he didn't. I can't see him. He wouldn't have beaten Calzaghe. No chance.
Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, Calzaghe was up there, man. I had to, you talking about a throw going back, and I just had to visit the memories in my mind and think about all the great times Joe Calzaghe gave me. Yeah, I concur, man. I say he was he's up there, man. Now there's too many fighters to kind of mull over and think about. Joe Calzaghe was definitely he was solid, man. I liked him.
Yeah, Lennox Lewis for me was the best British fighter. Like, obviously, I don't know about like 200 years back, but I'm talking like modern era. For me, Lennox was number 1, and then I put Joe number 2, and then obviously after that, it's like for me those two are the
those standouts.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
standout
that's
fighters
yeah.
in British boxing.
Lennox Lewis for me is not only one of the obviously y'all are British, so y'all get to say I'm an outsider looking in, but not only is he one of the best British fighters of all time, he's one of the best heavyweights of all time.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
He was a monster. He was Lennox Lewis had great boxing IQ. He had great punching power. Like he would have Lennox Lewis would have beat Joshua and Fury in a heartbeat.
Comfortably.
Not even a question. I don't. Some people say that Fury beats him and stuff. It really annoys me because people don't understand that Lennox Lewis, right, had great punching power. Right, he had great punching power and he had great boxing IQ. He had great footwork.
You see what he did? You see what he did? Rockman.
Oh yeah.
But that's all it's about though, and I think that's the difference between a great fighter and a very good fighter. That ring IQ. When to use your effective aggression, when to cut off the ring, when to use your jab, when to double up on it, when to work the body, when to work the head. Those type of insights, and rather than just relying on your power. Fury for me, although he's the best heavyweight now, there's no way in it. I can't see how he gets past Lennox Lewis. He's just too physically imposing for him. The jab he's got is just going to be too much for Fury. So I think sometimes as well, Imran, a lot of people just don't, perhaps haven't seen much. They're just going off the fighters now and calling them the best ever. You need to go back. In order to understand what's going on today, you need to fully go back and understand the fights of yesterday, and that's how you can look at people like we were talking about before, Inoue, and say this guy is really special because I think Inoue would do just as good as a bantamweight of old. The famous Mexicans of old. I think Inoue would hold his own with them. I really do.
Yeah. Brendan, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How's everybody doing on the stream?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying the boxing talk and on the live stream and in the chat. We had a pretty good weekend of fights last night.
What did you make of it?
Oh man, I the only fight that I really didn't just check out was the Jaime Munguia versus Sarameta fight, but I did just go back and watch that, and I'd have to say, like, Inoue probably stole the weekend, that third round KO, because I was just absolute. It was expected, but nonetheless, it was brutal. Like, I felt like Inoue, granted, he hasn't been undisputed yet, like, say, a Crawford or even like a Usyk, but I still, like, I'm arguing that he's probably pound for pound number 2 right now.
Wow. Who's that?
Inoue, not Naoya Inoue.
He's solid, man.
Do you think he's number 2, pound for pound?
Either 2 or 3. Given that
what's your pound for pound? Give me your top 5.
All right, my top 5 it'd have to be. All right, off the top of my head, and I'm thinking Canelo, Crawford, Inoue, Usyk. And then you could probably maybe throw Taylor in there. You could probably throw Taylor. Just because he's undisputed. And his road to undisputed, you could even probably argue was even tougher than Crawford's, But the thing Taylor got going for him is that he hasn't moved up yet. So I think the moment that he moves up, and finally fights like a guy or two, his play should go up. And there's some other guys you could throw in there too, like. I've already said Usyk or Jermall's on his way. Jermall, my bad. Yeah, Jermall's on his way whenever he fights Castaño. So, hey,
he should be in the top 10, man. He should be in the top 10 especially if he beats Castaño, right? He's beat some really good fighters. Jermall's beat some really good fighters, and he's beaten well as well. He stopped them. He stopped a lot of world-class fighters. Like he stopped I know he lost to Harrison, but then he stopped him in the rematch. He stopped as Ray pointed out, Erickson Lubin. These are very good fighters. Was it him that fought Austin Trout, or was it his brother?
Yeah, he fought Austin Trout. He won 12 rounds. I think it was unanimous or majority. I can't remember which one it was. But
was that his brother or was that him?
No, it was
I want to say
whichever one's at 54. So was that the one with
Mel.
the E in the name, Jermall? Yeah. But the thing is, though, this is what was on about the pound for pound thing, because let's just say Spence does a job on Pacquiao. Spence is going to be in people's pound for pounds. You know what I mean? No one's mentioned Tyson Fury in there. He would be in mine.
Top 5?
Wait, sorry, me top 10, because I thought the kid was. 10. I thought he mentioned some other people. Because he said, Charlo and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So if he's going to be, top 10, because this is what I'm saying, man. It changes every time somebody has a big fight. It changes.
But Crawford's in everyone's top 3. Yeah. When was the last time he had a big fight?
That's a good point. That's the reason why I was evaluating pretty heavy on, and maybe changing Inoue's play. Yeah, maybe changing Inoue's placement for Crawford, because, I try to keep it on keep aspects of the "what have you done for me lately" deal whenever I'm thinking about the pound for pound list.
That's true, but then you put Usyk there, and what's Usyk done at heavyweight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I had Usyk like at the bottom. If you want to talk about top 5, I have him at the bottom.
Yeah.
But it's debatable. Anybody could be at that top. At that 5. Anybody that's undisputed or at least have climbed up, a good amount of weight classes like Canelo and like Inoue have. Like they deserve their places up there too. But that's it on that thought though.
A fantasy fight for you guys, right? There's a lot of people asking this. Richard Brown, Prince Nassim Hamed at featherweight against Inoue. Who wins that fight?
Inoue is
obviously. The thing is with Inoue, he's a bantamweight now, isn't he? So it's
he will move up though. He will move up.
Yeah, so he's still 2 weight classes below that, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he got I don't know. I think I'll probably go through Inoue because he's a lot more polished than what Nas was.
I agree. Yeah,
because if you look at the Barrera fight, Nas just looked out of sorts. He just looked, nothing was coming off for him in that fight, and I think he'll probably encounter that against someone like Inoue. I think Inoue would just be too clever.
Stephen, someone was asking, I think it was Richard Brown. He was asking, get Stephen's opinion on Prince Nassim Hamed.
Prince Nassim Hamed is for me, he was almost like, you made the comparison between Inoue and Prince Nassim. They kind of have like a similar sensationalism around them right now. Whereas, Inoue is kind of new to the boxing community in whole, but what he's showing us right now is showing us that he's a straight killer. That he's showing us that he's a straight killer. And Nassim Hamed, it was lights, camera, action. Every time he laced him up, every time he entered the ring, he was one of those fighters that you love to hate. You know what I'm saying? Or you hated to love, vice versa. He was one of those fighters that forced you. He absolutely forced you to get behind him, and you were on the edge of your seat because he had that awkward style that kind of like almost like Emmanuel Augustus. He had one of those styles where he was kind of elusive and unpredictable. He hit you from different angles. I don't know, man. I might be inclined to take Hamed over Inoue. I know it's kind of sacrilegious right now, given the climate of boxing, but man, I'm just old school like that, and I love Hamed.
Who?
Hamed.
All right, yeah.
How much more reach does he have on Inoue? Because I know Inoue, he'll definitely be small, like smaller.
5'5" Inoue. How tall was Nas? Was he about?
Yeah,
He's about like 5'6",
Yeah, I
something like
think
that.
they're about the same. I mean, what you got to look at is priming. I think you saw the best of, in my opinion, Prince Nassim at featherweight. So, I mean, Inoue probably looks like somebody who can carry his power up for sure.
Because he fought up.
He doesn't look as though somebody who's going to hit that brick wall because of his technique's just so on point.
Nassim Hamed was the first. He was Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor. I mean, I'm talking about like in terms of not actual fighting, but in terms of having that swag and having that in your face.
Yeah.
I'm finna come here and I'm finna do this. He was the first one of those fighters that we seen that was kind of like and could back it up in the ring. Now we ran into Antonio Barrera. Was that that was Antonio? That was Antonio, wasn't it?
Barrera,
yeah. Mark Antonio Barrera.
When he ran into him, it was kind of like the beginning of the end. But up until then, Prince Nassim, he had a great run.
He had his way with everybody, mate. Yeah. Yeah, but I've just seen another great mix up there fight game. I says Inoue versus Lomachenko.
Lomachenko's too big.
Yeah. I mean, Lomachenko could probably still do because he's not a very big lightweight at all. So you could still probably get him down to featherweight again. He comes with a different skill set though, doesn't he? Because it's difficult to hit what you can't see, and Lomachenko's no matter what you say about the Lopez fight, his defense is still absolutely unbelievable. So
I always saw like I was telling Imran the other day. I was telling him the other day that I always saw through Lomachenko. I always saw through him. I always saw through him. You got to be kind of leery of those guys that they just catapult for no, and especially when he hasn't fought anybody. He was small. He was I know Imran. I know you feel a different way about it, but I always saw through Lomachenko.
What was there to see through? That's the like.
What do you mean?
Okay, I saw through him in terms of him. I saw his weaknesses as being kind of like. I knew he was weak. I knew he was weak. I knew he was kind of small. He's a bit small. I just didn't see him matching up well, having longevity in that division.
He's still in it. You said it as if he's like, at least let's wait until after he fights Nakatani to give a solid, opinion on that. Because, I mean, to say Lomachenko is like weak, like even for 135 is a little bit misleading considering the fact that besides Teofimo Lopez, he's for sure dropped or stopped everybody he's fought at 135 besides Teo.
No, he didn't. He lost to Tito, right? Didn't he?
That wasn't at 135.
That was at lower
2012 at featherweight.
Alito was at 126, I believe.
Yeah, that was at featherweight. Yeah.
In his second pro fight. Who else fights the champion in their second pro fight? I
think Lomachenko gets a rough ride. I think he's still a quality fighter. And I think, the Salido fight, he got caught out by the sheer size of Salido, his sheer strength. I think by the time he figured him out, it was a little bit too late. He won the later rounds, but because he didn't win early in the mid rounds. Yeah, and Salido used all the old school tactics. Lopez,
like Brenda said, we'll see what's going on with him after he fights. Not the
that's fair enough. Yeah.
So,
next weekend, isn't it? Yeah.
That's a hard fight, by the way. Nakatani's not, as you said.
That is a very
he's no mug.
Yeah, that's a hard fight. That was he had a close fight with Lopez as well. Closest. Yeah, it was a tough fight, man. That was a tough fight. I think this is going to be a hard fight for him. Let's see what he does in that fight. But yeah, Stephen, I do think Lomachenko. I actually think Loma could beat Lopez in the rematch, man.
Yeah, so do I.
He starts.
I do, man.
I know you do. I know you do.
I think he was coming into that fight. I think he was coming into that fight again. He was coming in late on. It was almost similar to a carbon copy of the Salido fight. I just didn't think he had obviously learned from that fight. And by the time he found his rhythm, it was too late.
Imran. Let me tell you something, man. Okay, I want to see this too. If Lomachenko gets the rematch with Teofimo Lopez, I'm gonna make this bold prediction. This time he's going night. He's going night.
Okay.
Could do, possibly. I won't be surprised. Yeah, it could do. He's a big guy, Lopez, and he's improving.
What do you say, Ray? What you say, Ray and Brendan?
I think Lomachenko could figure him out. I think he win on points if they would have a rematch at lightweight. And I rate Lopez, by the way. I just think he started to get used to Lopez's physicality. It was just a little bit too late. I had Lopez winning that. I think it was 115, 113. So it was close. You know, it was close towards the end. Lopez won a lot of the early rounds, didn't he? He won in my card. He won the majority of the early rounds and then the mid rounds. But Lomachenko came into it a bit late on. I can't see him. Well, you know, I don't think you'd stop him. You know, yeah.
You don't think he could stop Lomachenko? You don't think he could stop him?
No, I just think Lomachenko's too cute to get stopped by Lopez. Like, I mean, Lopez is a big puncher, and I rate Lopez. I really do rate him. And I said if there was anyone going to beat Lomachenko at lightweight, it would be Lopez because of his physicality and what he brings. But the signs I saw in that fight towards late on was that Lomachenko was kind of figuring him out.
I got a question. I want you guys' opinion on this.
Yeah.
Do you think that Loma's shoulder surgery had played a big factor in him being pretty inactive the first half of the fight?
I don't know. I just think, you know, he's up against somebody who was a lot. I mean, Lopez is huge. I gave that example of comparing him when he stood next to. You guys heard of Conor Benn, yeah?
Yeah.
He's a welterweight, and he's you got to remember he was in camp for the Cambosis fight. He was losing weight. There was a video Ellie Sekbak's got where he's getting interviewed alongside Conor Benn, and he's still big. He's about the same size as Conor Benn, so he is a big guy. So when he's getting into the ring, he's going to be weighing in more than 11 stone. And I just think he used every bit of his advantage. He was smart in there, and he did box. He did box well. And I think he boxed better than what Lomachenko was expecting. You know, and he did look the boss in there. He held the center of the ring. You know, used the ring general in there. And I think he caught Lomachenko by surprise, and he was really strong. And Lomachenko was obviously trying to figure him out. You know, Lomachenko's not daft. He's probably got one of the best ring IQs in the game. It just took him a while to get going. But to answer your question about the shoulder, I think even if his shoulders was both 100%, I still think he may have figured him out a bit sooner. So it could have played some part, but I wouldn't say it definitely played a full part, no.
Oh, not what do you think, Frank? Not a full part. Of course not.
About what? The shoulder?
The shoulder. Because I'm bringing it up.
I think that was a lot of excuse. I think that was excuses just to justify. I just think he got beat fair and square by Lopez, but I think as Ray said, I think it was I actually think tactically he was a little bit inept. He didn't really learn from that Salido fight.
Yeah.
And I think in the second fight, I think if he was to fight Lopez again, I think he would start quicker. But again, we have to bear into mind that it was Lopez's power that probably made him hesitant as well. So again, Lopez slowing down in the later part of the second fight where it allowed Loma to come into it, or was it just Loma just decided to throw caution to the wind where he knew he was losing the fight? Because really, if you look at it, he lost all of the first half of that fight.
I feel like it was maybe a conglomerate of those things, but definitely because of what Tio was doing, definitely because of that. But like, because I only bring it up because if you look at it from a historical perspective, take Floyd Mayweather versus Castillo 1, for example. A lot of people like to give Floyd. I personally think Floyd lost that fight, on the scorecard. But an official win is an official win. That type of stuff doesn't bother me. But but looking at the second fight and seeing just how completely different it was, how much better Floyd was, and one of the things being that Floyd his shoulder was injured coming into that fight, and it was just food for thought. Just food for thought.
Yeah.
It just made me wonder, maybe that could have been. He did. Granted, I think T.O. definitely he won completely fair and square, kicked his ass. But Loma did have pictures of post surgery or whatever. After the fight, blah blah, my shoulder hurts and all that. But it just makes me think, like, if a 100%, like a really 100%, because he even said he was 100% leading up to the T.O. fight, which we know is wrong now, but
the thing is, so Brendan,
yeah.
the reason why I'm a bit hesitant with that one is because, and there's been loads of this debate on Imran's. Every time Imran does a live show, this fight always comes up, and the fight I'm going to say is Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather. After that fight, everyone was banging on about Pacquiao's shoulder, and if he never had that shoulder problem, he would have trouble. But he just wasn't in that fight. No matter how people say it, he wasn't in that fight. This is slightly different, where Lomachenko was still that was still a close fight. I don't think there's an argument to say Lopez completely dominated him. It wasn't a shutout. It wasn't a shutout. And if people say that, okay, that's their opinion. I've got my own opinion. I thought so. Lomachenko was coming into it, and there's an argument to say he won. At least if you look at the last 5 rounds, he probably won 4 of them. So yeah, I don't think it was a complete, absolute dominant performance. But Lopez beat him. He beat him fair and square, and I think if that had a rematch, it'd be a different outcome.
I think
Go on, Stephen. Go, Stephen.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say real quick. There's certain fighters that just got the other guy's number. Winky Wright had, Winky Wright had Shane Mosley's number.
Yeah.
Teofimo, he just has. I feel like he just has. Lomachenko's number. He just got his number, man. I mean, Lomachenko know that he in there with a young Haas, a young hog that's cock strong, skilled, athletic. He just in over his head. And Lomachenko, he's in a real precarious spot in his life, because does he go back down to 126 and achieve that dominance that he once had? Nah, because Shakur is down there. Or does he stay up there with the sharks in the sea of sharks at 135 with all the killers? All the killers is at 135. So it's gonna be tough for him. It'll be interesting to see how he fares from this point on, because I think that was an exposition. It's I think he was exposed a little bit for all the things I said before. And Brendan, I'm not saying that he wasn't a killer. He wasn't a good fighter. I'm just saying that he's a little guy, and
Loma even being in the lightweight division is insane to me. Everything. But because he's in the lightweight division, being so small, there's always, I feel, should be that little thing in the back of your head of wow, there's an extra additive of danger because of these guys are just naturally bigger than him, and which is why we're not seeing him pull off like a virtuoso how he used to do. Granted, though, the competition that he's currently fighting is probably like the best, like the best, especially with Teofimo Lopez. But
I don't be listening to I like to reserve my opinion for what I really feel. I'm careful not to listen to how the media promotes certain fighters. I don't just crown fighters just based off of everything. And not saying that's what you guys are doing. Not saying that at all. You guys are very, very intellectually endowed when it comes to boxing. I'm just saying I've heard some outlets they propel these certain fighters just because of various various reasons.
That's true.
Can I say something to that? Well, at least I completely agree. I feel like in the case of Lomachenko, yes, he was overhyped. Let's just put that blanket statement down there. Yes, he overhyped, And also, yes, he's at least deservedly overhyped.
Brendan, let me cut you off 1 second. You said Lomachenko's overhyped. How?
He's a two-time Olympic gold
Now
medalist.
listen. Gosh, I mean, for lack of a better word, overhyped. Overhyped, like almost on that bridge of being overhyped. At least with the Muhammad Ali comparisons and
All right, okay.
and
Oh,
stuff
right,
like
okay,
that.
yeah, right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But that doesn't mean I don't recognize that Loma pretty much was on the same track as Inoue, like climbing up all those weight classes, fighting all those top 10 guys, collecting the belts and stuff like that. You know, and even under that layer, that's looking at it from a complete objective standpoint, and which is why like I still rate Loma up there. But I see what he's doing, and I'm also here in reality though. You know.
That's a fair point, but I mean, when we're talking about the size as well, I mean, don't forget you got Tank Davis, who's stepping up to 140, and for me, I mean, that guy's only 5'5", maybe even 5'6", so he's not exactly a massive lightweight, is he? And then he's stepping up to like welterweight.
Which fighter did you just mention again?
Tank.
Well then, man, you got to look at like just the natural build then, like just the natural build. Like Tank walks around like it.
Yeah, he's thicker set. He's thicker set, but he gives away a lot of advantages.
His X factor though, like I do see what you mean, and the thing though with his X factor though is his power. You know,
he's got that nullifier, that one punch nullifier. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but at this point though, we're talking about like the most special of the special fighters in the division right now. You know,
but you see, I get your point. And Davis or Tank, he's got that one punch knockout power that makes him so special. Yeah. But then, in my opinion, Lomachenko has a skill set which makes him so special. So for me, each fighter's got their own, and that's why I call this particular lightweight division, in my opinion, it's my favorite in boxing at this moment in time. Yeah, because if you look at the likes of Haney, Ryan Garcia, you've got Lopez, you still got Kambosos Jr. in that mix, Lomachenko, Davis. You got a lot of cats in there that got each got one attribute which is absolutely fantastic. It sets them apart from others. And when you throw them all in those mix, that I think it's a fascinating decision to see who comes out on top in this division in the next 18 months.
Oh yes, for sure. The lightweight division. I remember back in 2017 when Loma was like 130 and stuff like that, and we were, there was still so much buzz about like Tank fighting Lomachenko, but that wasn't being remotely entertained because of the money team shenanigans and all of that, and you had all these fighters coming up, but like it's crazy to see like how it blew up, how it was the first of the divisions like in recent years to even have an undisputed champion, well, quote unquote undisputed, whichever opinion you want, with Teofimo in the WBC belt. But yeah, I feel like it's the best division. But I'm liking what Canelo's doing with the buzz he's making with the middleweight and super middleweight.
Yeah, Canelo's different, man. It's really good.
I want to get back on there. Yeah, because I think Canelo is probably the best in the world right now.
I agree.
I really don't see like whenever y'all were. It may have been this live stream, or I may be recollecting from a live stream that Imran posted earlier. But somebody brought up that maybe Canelo could even go up to cruiserweight and snatch.
Yeah, it was my brother. It was my brother.
Yeah, your brother. Yeah. So
I'm not too sure if he has much success at cruiserweight.
Yeah. My brother said, Ray. My brother said that he beats Lawrence Okoli. He said he said that he would beat Lawrence Okoli, and I said,
"No, I like your brother because you remind me of Johnny Nelson. Your brother, he just says exactly what's on his mind. I like your brother, man. You need to get him on. But for me, I think even like heavyweight's a big ask, because as Stephen keeps using the phrase "straight up killers," and I like that because it's true. You know, you look at light heavyweight, and there's some serious punches in there, man. There's some serious dons there. You know, you've got the likes of Baturviev. Bivol's a good fight. You know, Joe Smith Jr. is a good fight with him. These are big guys, you know. So
but Ray, Canelo v Makabu.
I've just seen that there by Jet, man. It's man. I just can't see Canelo having, for all the skills he's got, you know, and you know how I love his inside game, his head movement. I just don't see how he gets success against, because this is where you have weight classes, and you have weight classes for a reason.
Yeah,
you know, they might make the weight limit, but then the rehydration, these guys are going up to perhaps 220 pounds. So that company takes a bit. You know, I just can't see how he pushes somebody of that weight back.
Have you seen Canelo sparring the heavyweights, like the little
snippets? I have. Yeah, I've seen him spar heavyweights. I've seen him, but sparring, and it's very different. You know, sparring the heavyweights to actually doing it under the lights, and people can say, yeah, you can take out.
But I mean, you should be able to gauge, like just being able to be in there with a heavyweight, like sparring, like you should. That should just tell you right now that he has some ability. Is that me? Yeah. Having some ability to, you know, just in general take punches from these massive men, like.
Yeah, but the thing for me is there's no point going up the cruiserweight unless you're going to go against the very best. And I know it's a weak division, but if people are saying, yeah, you could take on a weak cruiserweight, then what's the point of going up there? Because you're not daring to be great, is a phrase that Imran uses. If you want to dare to be great, you've got to take on the cruiserweight champions. He doesn't beat cruiserweight champion, so what's the point of going up?
Ray, I think he could beat Makabu, you know. Makabu for me, I'm just that Tony Bellew fights in my mind. Where he got absolutely wiped out. He got slept.
Did he floor Tony Bellew before Tony Bellew floored him?
Yes, he did. He did, to be fair. But you know, Makabu, he's not that big. If you look at his height wise,
height or like stature.
No, stature. He's quite big. He was quite muscular, to be fair.
That's what I'm about. I mean, height fair enough, because I think Canelo's 5'9" in him, run. I think he's 5'9", 5'9.5".
But the thing is, Ray, you know what the thing is with Canelo? He doesn't look, even when he moves up to like a weight, he doesn't look small. He just looks so big. Like he looks like he feels into that weight. I don't get it. I don't get how he
I can't see him, you know, against, like when your brother was on about, you know me, I've got time for your brother, but I can't see him against someone like Lawrence Cooley.
Oh no, that's
you know,
that's big. Coley's a heavyweight, really. He's not a cruiserweight. Coley's a heavyweight.
He's well right down, isn't he? But yeah, I mean, for me, my opinion is, and somebody's mentioned about Roy Jones. Yeah, but he fought against John Ruiz, and it's a bit like David Haye against Valuev. As soon as David Haye fought someone decent, like heavyweight, you saw what David Haye was like. You know, if you're going to be stepping up, daring to be great, and the higher weight classes, then fight the best up there. Don't just say, "Oh, I won a belt at cruiserweight and fought one of the weakest there." You know.
So, Ray, would Canelo beat Woodley Harrison?
Right. This Carl's been banging on about this all night, right? Carl needs to put on his heavyweight list, and then we can talk about Woodley Harrison. Yeah. Unless he's going to come on the stream.
A serious question. Do you think Woodley Harrison will beat Canelo?
No, Woodley Harrison will. No, see what? Nah. Carl's just Carl needs to put on his heavyweight list. Then we can see what he's about. He hasn't put on his heavyweight list, so he's being a bit of a keyboard warrior at the minute.
What is he? Why is he putting? What's he talking about?
It's because for our show, we've done like a top 5 British middleweights of all time, super middleweights of all time, heavyweights of all time, and I put Woodley Harrison in my top 5 British heavyweights of all time. And I said the reason why I did that was because of his impact on the game. If it wasn't for Woodley Harrison, Team GB wouldn't have had the funding that they did to produce the stars that they had. If it wasn't for Woodley Harrison, Eddie Hearn wouldn't have got in the boxing game. Do you see what I mean? And obviously he had his prize fighter win. So I said, in terms of ability, obviously he shouldn't really be up there, even though technically he won an Olympic gold.
Yeah,
he got all the way to European heavy, he won the European title. But look what he's done for the British game. It's similar to what Khan, although Khan was pound for pound, skill for skill was much better. But if you look at what Oli Harrison done for the British game, if you consider that aspect, he's got to be in there. So yeah, that's why I'm getting a bit of stick off Carl. But it'll be interesting. So if you guys ever, when you come across our show, have a look and see what Carl's heavyweights are, and then compare and see who's got the better list.
I will. Jets again. Silly. There's a lot of people with the silly questions coming in. Jets saying can't be Inoue today. Who wins? It's like one's a welterweight, one's a 118 pounder. Come on.
Yeah.
Even today, and I love Inoue. Even today, how can that fight?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't, man. You can't.
That's just silly. That's just silly, man. We're getting silly now. Hey.
If Inoue touches his chin, it's over with.
Hey?
Nah. Whoever said
he said if Inoue catches his chin, it will be over with. But he was just messing around. He's just joking.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's. I mean, for me, Canelo, the limit for him is I can't see him. Like if he unifies, if he wins 2 world titles at light heavy, he surpassed what Mayweather's achieved, and I'll say that with my chest, because in order for him to do that, you'll have to be the underdog, and Mayweather was never the underdog. You see what I mean? Mayweather's always been a favorite from the get go, and this is what I mean by Canelo daring to be great and it being realistic.
Ray, John Love having a one sec. Ray, John Love wants to make a point to you. He goes, Audley didn't do too much though. It was Khan that got the funding. Khan was getting paid £500 a year. £500 a year? £500 a year from the national lottery for England boxing.
Well, if you ask a lot of the Team GB boxers now, and if you speak to some of the coaches, and I've been fortunate. My good friend Dave Lockie's worked with a few lads from Berkeley Amateur Boxing Club up in the northeast. A lot of them will say that the coaches say it was down to Oli Harrison's success, because they weren't expecting him to win the gold, and he did. Amir Khan won the silver. Yeah, no one's expecting him to do that. But if it wasn't for his success in the 2000 Olympics, then Amir Khan perhaps wouldn't have. I mean, he was the only British boxer to go there. And then from there, they managed to increase Team GB again to allow the success that we had in 2008 and in 2012 and in 16 and hopefully in next month. So for me, it was Oli Harrison that started it, and then he got Eddie Hearn back in the big time, back into boxing. So I think Oli Harrison, for all his faults. And I know that the Hay fight was shocking, and other fights that he massively let himself down, but what he did for amateur boxing shouldn't be ignored.
So Carl here is saying that Danny Williams number 5, number 4 Gary Cornish, not Gary Cornish, the guy that Joshua knocked out.
Yeah. I think Carl's winding this up.
All right, okay. So I was about to say, what's Gary Cornish done? Not 5 heavy.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, Carl, just to put that easier to get across is, I'm not saying Oli Harrison built Matchroom. What I'm saying is, through the prize fighter, and then from after battle prize fighter, he got Oli Harrison the European shot, and then the shot at here. What Eddie Hearn's come out and said is that because of Oli Harrison's win, he said to his dad, I can do something with boxing here. I can do something with boxing. Forget about his signing for a minute. The fact that he said from Oli Harrison's win, I can do something with boxing, that's all come down to Oli Harrison. That hadn't come down to Foch. That hadn't come down to Barker or for Kell Brook, who he then later signed. So it was what Oli Harrison's impact, which at that point no other heavyweight had that impact on Eddie Hearn. So yeah, it was definitely Oli Harrison that brought Eddie Hearn to be where he is now, and then he's obviously taking over the States, and we'll see a lot more of him in the next coming year.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Audley Harrison gets a lot of stick. He's trolled a lot. But
some of it's deserved, him, man. Some of it's deserved. But what he's done for the amateur game, and then what he's done getting Eddie Hearn back into the sport, it's got to be acknowledged. It really has.
Thing is, Audley Harrison gets a lot of stick. He won Olympic gold medal. And that actually was like, I felt like he had confidence issues at the top level as a pro.
Yeah.
And you know, he just kind of froze every time he got an opportunity. Like his performance against Wilder, you know, we talk about him against David Price. Just like he just kind of like froze. I don't know what it was. He just had some kind of mental. David Price was the same, really.
I was about to say David Price is the same, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of British fighters, there's obviously we've had debates about who we rank where and what we think, and so it is what it is. But top 5 British heavyweights, I'd have to go Lennox, Fury. I would say Joshua, Bruno, and maybe who else? Danny Williams, probably. I don't know who's number 5.
So I think I went for the same
Oliver
top
McCall.
3 for you.
Oh, no,
Same
Oliver
top 3
McCall.
for you.
Oh, sorry.
No, he wasn't.
He's American.
Yeah. So my top 3 was the same, but my 4th one I went for Henry Cooper.
Yes, Henry Cooper.
He dropped Muhammad Ali, didn't he?
That was
So we did it all time. We did for more time. So yeah.
Henry Cooper probably goes above Joshua. Probably.
Sorry.
Henry Cooper probably you could put him above Joshua.
He never won a world title.
Hey?
He never won a world title.
Yeah, but like he fought Muhammad Ali, man. The Muhammad Ali was a champion, but and that fight. He almost did Muhammad Ali.
He dropped him. Yeah, he dropped him. He almost, it was a long count, wasn't it? That was the bit. But I think for me as well, the way I see it is Joshua, for all I know it's a different era, but he has got 3 of the 4 heavyweight belts, and that's got to count towards something. So that's why I've just put him above Henry Cooper. Yeah.
But Burning Desire. What do you think, Stephen? Top 5 British heavyweights.
I like Burning Desire's question about the top 5 welterweights from Britain. That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of like what y'all said, man. You know, you got to throw Lennox Lewis up there at number 1. Who else did y'all say?
Fury, Joshua, Bruno, Henry Cooper, Danny Williams.
Joe Buckner.
Tyson Fury, 2 for me. Anthony Joshua. What about Razor Ruddock?
He was American, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah,
he was American. How do y'all think Tyson Fury would have did back then, though? Like in the 80s, 70s?
See, that's a good question. That's Brandon in it. I think he's got a lot of skill. Fury. He's got lots, but the heavyweights from back in the, if you look at the great heavyweight era, the 70s. I mean, these guys were savage because they could do everything, and I can't see. I think they would just walk Fury down. To be honest with you.
But Fury's a good boxer, man.
I
see him being a lot, So while they had power and they were just kind of, saying savage with it, I think he does well in that era.
They had a high work rate back then. That's one thing.
Yeah, they were relentless. I mean, we're talking about. You hear Jim McDonald used to say it all the time when he had James DeGale, he's a 15-round fighter, And there is a difference between your 15-round fighters and, those heavyweights. Those were fit heavyweights. They weren't like, if you look at some of the heavyweights now, like the likes of Dillian White and Chisora, I mean, they're big guys, but there's if you look at the physiques, even the likes of
they're carrying a lot of weight.
Ken Norton. Come on, man. Physically, they were
muscular, splendor.
Yeah.
Linda,
You
you
know,
know what I'm saying? You like Brenda said, they high work rate through
yeah,
1,000 punches.
yeah,
You know, tough, durable. That
yeah.
was a good. That was a good era.
And I don't think our guys now could live with that pace back then. Because some
All
of
right,
those
guys.
heavyweights back then were throwing punches like middleweights do now.
I was just gonna say real quick, man. Peace out to everybody, man. It's Father's Day, so I'm gonna go eat me some steak.
Yeah.
So salute to everybody. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate you, Ray. Appreciate you, Brendan. Imran, always.
Yeah. Good having you on, Stephen, man. It was great.
Yeah.
Great chatting with you, man. It's always great.
Y'all stay up. Be easy.
Take care, Stephen.
I got a question about 118 division. So with Casemiro fighting Donaire, and apparently Rigo taking some he's stepping aside for that fight and looking to take the winner. Like, do y'all think that Rigo is gonna take a get busy fight, or just wait all the way until after August to start negotiations or whatever?
I think it's not in there, to be honest. Otherwise, why would you take step aside in the first place? Like, I don't think his heart's in there anymore. I think it's all a business kind of entity for him. He's thinking that I'm gonna get a step aside money, and then obviously I'll fight the winner for a big payday, and I'll be fighting for a unification fight. But if you really wanna be a champion, for me, for Rigondeaux, it's more about securing the bag now. He's old, man. Some people say he's near 50. So I don't.
Looking old.
Hey.
Oh, I don't know how old he is, but he looked old since I first saw him.
Because he was old. That's why when you first saw him, he was old. That's why.
Crazy. 137.
You first probably got to know about him. He was old, man. But yeah, Ray, your opinion?
I don't know. I mean, Jet just said he's going to be on yellow card. I just kind of thought he would have the money, and it's a bit like the Jack Catterall situation. Just take the step aside money and just wait. We don't know where Rigondeaux, because activity is never something that's been associated with. That's never been associated with Rigondeaux. So, but it's an interesting one, because I can't see him. I can't see him beating Casemiro. I can't see him beating Inoue. He beats everybody else, or most of the fighters. But yeah, I just those two guys are a little bit too special.
You think he could beat Donaire?
He's beaten Donaire, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's beaten him, but that was when he was more in his
Yeah,
prime.
he's beaten Donaire, and it's a bit like, well, I think his style will always cause problems for somebody like Donaire.
Yeah. He got no legs now.
Sorry?
I say he doesn't have the best legs now. Like, if you watch his last
Rigondeaux. Well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, last time out he won, and he looked all right, but I guess we'll see at elite level. That's going to be the difference,
Yeah.
Coming back to his opponent that he fought last time, and I think that's going to be the only difference, Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. It was great. I'm glad that all you guys came on. It was great. It was great talk. Yeah. I'm gonna be doing quite a few of these now because I'm free. So come on whenever you feel like it. Ray, just before you go, before we wrap it up, just give your channel a shout out.
Yeah, so I'm from Last Well Boxing chat with Carl, who you've no doubt seen on the chat. There's 4 of us on there. We have a show every Thursday night, 9 p.m. UK time. We have debates similar to this about fights that have just been on, fights that are going to come on. We also have special guests on the show as well. We've had Natasha Jonas on. We've had Ebony Bridges on. We've had Lee Eaton from MTK. We've had Carl Greaves on. We've had Lee Wood on. And we've got some other special guests to come on the show as well. So it's on every Thursday night. We're on YouTube. Just find us on Last Well Boxing Chat. 9 o'clock that we're on, and we also go on a Saturday. We do a sort of like straight after a big event. We'll go on and we'll have a discussion on. We'll do a special live feed straight after a big fight. So catch us there, guys. You know, just like, comment, and subscribe on our channel.
I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe right after the stream's over with.
Yeah. Just go on Last Bell Boxing Chat.
It's here on the. It's on the. Can you see it here? Last Bell Boxing Chat.
Let me see,
on the screen.
I mean, cause like whenever I click on the link, it sent me. It took me off of YouTube and brought me like to a whole nother site. Like,
Yeah.
So
not the link. The channel. Last Bell Boxing Chat. That's the channel.
Ah, okay, I see it right there.
Just type that in on YouTube search and you'll be able to find it.
Good.
Brendan, you can come on at any time. Like, it was great having you on. I think it's the first time I never kind of caught you, but it was good having you on, man. It's good having you on.
I've been busy all the time, man. I've been busy since the first like weekend that I've just been free. You know, I was able to watch all the fights and had to come on. Yeah, I'll be on next time that you're on.
Definitely. I'm gonna try coming on as much as I can now, like every day, hopefully.
For sure.
Yeah.
But man, y'all take it easy.
Take it easy, man.
Everybody on the live.
See you later, boys.
Take care. See you later, guys.
Take
care. Bye. So, guys, there we go. We've wrapped up another day in the dungeon. But yeah, that was good, man. That was good. I enjoyed it. Everyone, thanks to Carl with his commentary in the chat. I enjoyed it. Thanks to Richard being a guy that's always here. Appreciate it, Richard. Take care. A Jet, another one that's a really good active in the chat. I'd love to get you guys on the camera. Burning Desire, as always, great to have you on. I'll definitely do a top 5 welterweight from Britain next time. And yeah, all of you on. John Love, much love from having you on. Take care, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you. And Carl, if you're still here, I'll definitely come on Thursday and we'll have a chat about it. Yeah, Jesuis, take care. Salute to you. Smash the like button, everybody, like Jesuis said. Hopefully I can have Jesuis on next time as well. But yeah, take care, everyone. Yeah, so Carl, it's good having you on. Peace to you, Ahmed, as well. I'll definitely we can do. Carl, I want you come on. I'll come on Thursday. But you come on. I'm going to be doing live streams all week, so come on whenever you want. I'll drop you the link. Just let me know when you want to come on and show your face on camera rather than being on the side. Just let me know and I'll come on Thursday and we can do a little live, be on your channel. No worries. But yeah, take care. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next live stream. Take care, guys.